Hi everyone, it's Graham again and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, just slightly to my left, as you're watching it's probably to your right, but anyway, yeah, off to the side, I have a pile of books, and these are the books that I purchased during the road trip that my husband Duncan and I took up to Ballater, Balmoral, over the weekend, just past. You will have seen that hopefully in my previous video. But yeah, I have 17 books to share with you, and yeah, without much further ado, let's dive into those books. So the first one I have is this really gorgeous 1930s edition of Romeo and Juliet, and it's upside down. So yeah, it is an edited for schools edition of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare, and the frontispiece, I think you call it, yeah, has a drawing of John Galgut as Romeo, and this edition dates from 1937, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a little bit ratty on the edges, but I mean, it's over 80 years old and it's just lovely. I have never read Romeo and Juliet, the story of the star-crossed lovers, but I hope to get to it, and I'm so glad to have this lovely edition in my collection because it is really pretty and I look forward to getting to it soon. So the next one that I picked up is a really cute collection of poetry as told from the perspective of a dog or dogs, and this is called I Could Chew on This and Other Poems by Dogs, and this is by Francesco Marciuliano, and this is author of the New York best-selling book I Could Pee on This. Clearly that's about dogs as well, but it looks like this and it's just gorgeous. The back cover is like that. I don't think there's anything on the oh no, the title is on the bare hardcover, and then the end papers are yellow with this lovely paw motif, and it's just a lovely collection of poetry from the perspective of dogs. Just because I'm carried around in a purse high above the dirty ground does not mean I'm less of a pet, less of a dog, less of a true canine. It just means I think I can fly, and that I know what lipstick and loose change taste like. Yes. From toy poodles to Great Danes, dogs of all sizes, breeds, ages and dispositions have an inner poet lurking just beneath the surface. Written by these astute and inspired canines with instant classics such as I Dropped a Ball, I Lose My Mind When You Leave the House, and Can You Smell That? Each poem in this collection perfectly captures the quirkiness and unbridled enthusiasm of man's best friend. And as a dog owner of 3 corgis, I cannot wait to get to this because I think this will be very fun and yes, quite recognisable as a dog owner. So next I have 2 books which when I saw one, it was sitting beside the other, and because they were both of a similar nature I couldn't pass either one by. This was the first one that I saw, and it's a Ladybird book of the Princess of Wales, so Princess Diana, and the one that was sat next to it was the Ladybird Souvenir of the Royal Day. So this is the Royal Wedding, and these are sort of like gorgeous little picture books of Princess Diana and the Royal Wedding in 1981. I don't think there's much of a synopsis to these, although the end papers for this one are beautiful, and I haven't looked at the end papers to this one, but okay, so someone has scribbled on this side of the end papers, but here we have the carriages in the wedding procession. But yeah, all this says on the back is the royal wedding at St. Paul's Cathedral, Wednesday the 29th of July 1981. And yeah, it was my husband's birthday. I think he was like 18 that day, 19 possibly, 18, yes. So yeah, there we go. But that's the picture on the back. But what else does it say here? I can't make that out. It just says Lady Bird titles cover a wide range. Yeah, so basically it tells you what the Lady Bird books are all about. But yeah, these I am glad to have because they're quite rare really to find now, I believe. But I'm happy to add these to my collection. So next we have this really fun little book called Old Age Comes at a Bad Time, Wit and Wisdom for the Young at Heart, selected and introduced by, what even does that say? I'm not even entirely certain. Eliakim Katz. Okay, so yeah, there we go. I almost dropped it there. That's the front cover, and it has like quotes from certain people, from, you know, like Woody Allen to Margaret Thatcher to William Shakespeare, Albert Camus. Let's see. My age is as a lusty winter, frosty but kindly, and that's William Shakespeare. As a white candle in a holy place, so is the beauty of an aged face, and that's Joseph Campbell. But there we go. I love little books like this that are just full of sort of fun little quotes, you know, for every occasion. But yeah, there we go. So the next two I have are poetry collections from the 1940s. So the first one that I'm going to show you is this here. It's called Less Nonsense by A.P. Herbert. This was printed in 1944, and it's a collection of humorous poetry, I believe. But what really attracted me to this was on the inside title page, there's a little crest with a book, an open book, and a lion sitting on top, and it says Book Production War Economy Standard. So this was printed during the Second World War, when things like paper were rationed, and you know, the paper quality isn't the best, but it was what they had to use. And I find that really quite interesting from a historic point of view. I don't think there's much of a synopsis, but I shall read what it says. This collection of Mr. Herbert's topical verses runs from August 2nd, 1942 up to the end of 1943, from the time when freedom tottered on the dawn, to the time when Russian troops crossed the old frontier of Poland. The great change in the fortunes of the United Nations which has occurred during this period is vividly, humorously, and ironically reflected in these 90 sets of verses. I haven't read it, but it just seemed really interesting to me, so I had to pick it up. And someone either had a spare sticker going spare, or really enjoyed the book because they've stuck this love heart shaped sticker inside. But yeah, I look forward to getting to this. I always like a nice little poetry collection. The next one I have is The Birth of Venus and Other Poems, and this is by Suzanne Knowles. This is just gorgeous. I don't know why this spoke to me. I think, you know, it was just the fact that it was a lovely little poetry collection. Poetry collections, I find, for me personally, are always a really good way of getting myself out of any sort of book reading slump. And I just find them, you know, like they're such a quick, snappy little read. And you might surprise yourself by finding a gem, a poem that you really enjoy, or a writer that you really enjoy. These poems are springing from an educated and sophisticated mind. The writer has a subtle sense of what words can do. Her pencraft is admirable, and the adjectives she chooses are admirably evocative. This small collection of verse shows real achievement, and the first edition of this little book seems certain to be absorbed and treasured by those fortunate enough to meet it on publication. And this was published in 1945, and it's just beautiful. So next is a book that I have read already, and I really enjoyed this. I remember watching Jack and Ori as a child on television, and this is King Arthur, The Sword from the Lake. And this is written by, let me just have a look, Marilyn Fox, and it's based on traditional sources. This sort of more focuses on Morgan Le Fay. I always was, when I was growing up, it was always Morgana Le Fay, but in this book it's Morgan Le Fay. I have never really read very much Arthurian legend. This is kind of like the first thing I've really sort of read, and I really enjoyed this. It talks about Morgan Le Fay and Merlin, and Morgan's dislike for her half-brother Arthur, and you know, all the battles that happen, the Knights of the Round Table, Sir Lancelot, Queen Guinevere, and yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I would love to collect more of these, but they are so expensive online, so I'll have to do some digging. I like digging for books online. So next I have another collection of poetry. This is from the 1960s. I think what spoke to me most was the cover. I just thought it was really quite pretty, and I just couldn't not leave it on the book table for someone else to have. I'm very selfish. I wanted it for myself, and it has some really sort of traditional poetry in it. Things like 30 days, half September, April, June and November. All the rest have 31, excepting February alone, and that has 28 days clear and 29 in each leap year. And that's a traditional poem, apparently. But yeah, I really look forward to diving into this one too. So next I have a copy of a Booker Prize winning book from 2021, and this is The Promise by Damon Galgut, or Damon Galgut. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that name. I think it's probably Damon Galgut, I hope. The tagline is one of the world's great writers, and that's a quote rather from Edmund White. And this was the winner of the 2021 Booker Prize. I shall read what it's about. The Promise charts the crash and burn of a white South African family living on a farm outside Pretoria. The Swarts are gathering for Ma's funeral. The younger generation, Anton and Amor, detest everything the family stand for, not least the failed promise to the black woman who has worked for them her whole life. After years of service, Salome was promised her own house, her own land, yet somehow, as each decade passes, that promise remains unfulfilled. The narrator's eye shifts and blinks, moving fluidly between characters, flying into their dreams, deliciously lethal in its observation. And as the country moves from old deep divisions into its new so-called fairer society, the lost promise of more than just one family hovers above the novel's title. In this story of a diminished family, sharp and tender emotional truths hit home. Confident, deft, and quietly powerful, The Promise is literary fiction at its best. Or rather, at its finest. I don't know where the word best comes in there. It's just what I saw on the page, and it clearly wasn't what was actually written. But yeah, there we go. I look forward to getting to this. I've heard really good things about this book, and it does sound very, very interesting. So next is another book that I'm so excited about. This is My Week with Marilyn by Colin Clark, and he is the author of The Prince, the Showgirl, and Me, which I'm guessing is another book about Marilyn Monroe because she was in The Prince and the Showgirl with Laurence Olivier. I think there's a movie based on this, ironically enough, called My Week with Marilyn, and I really enjoyed that. I think it had Michelle Williams and Freddie Redmayne. It's quite a while ago now, 2011, 2012-ish, I think. But I'm so excited about this. Marilyn Monroe, I am such a fan. And there's a lot of reading here. In this delightfully comic and touchingly romantic book, Colin Clark describes for the first time what happened between Marilyn Monroe and himself during the missing week from his celebrated diary of 1956, published in 1995 as The Prince, the Showgirl, and Me. In 1956, fresh from Eton and Oxford, the 23-year-old Colin Clark was employed as a humble gopher on the set of The Prince and the Showgirl, the film that was intended to unite the talents of Sir Laurence Olivier, England's preeminent classical actor, and Marilyn Monroe, Hollywood's greatest star. From the outset, the production was bedeviled by problems and the clashes between Monroe and Olivier, who was both directing and co-starring, have entered film legend. Nearly 40 years later, Colin Clark's wonderfully entertaining diary of that time was chosen as their book of the year by Gilly Cooper, Joan Collins, and many others, but 1 week was missing from the middle of the book. Here, at last, is the story of that week, a delicious idyll in which Clark came to know an unhappy Monroe, desperate to escape from the pressures of working with Olivier and an often hostile cast and crew, from the crowd of hangers-on who continually surrounded her, and from the burden of her stardom itself. Her new husband, the playwright Arthur Miller, was away, and the coast was clear for Colin to introduce Marilyn to some of the pleasures of British life. How he unexpectedly ended up sharing her bed is a story readers will have to discover for themselves. There have been many books about Marilyn Monroe, but few have shed such a compassionate, intimate, and poignant light on her troubled character. My Week with Marilyn is as much a revelation of the oppressive nature of fame as it is an account of a singular week in the life of one of the 20th century's greatest icons. I literally cannot wait to read this book because Marilyn Monroe is such an icon and is such... she's one of my heroines. Absolutely adore everything that Marilyn Monroe was in, represented, was about, and I'm excited to read this, which sounds like it's going to be, you know, more enlightening and a different take on Marilyn Monroe as, you know, as a person, instead of as this big global star. I look forward to this. So next we have a book that I already have an edition of. I have read and I love. I've met the author. I have my copy of the book signed by him, but I had never seen it in this edition, and I just had to have it. It's The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. This edition is just gorgeous. It's just so dark and lovely, and I love it. We all know the story of... what's this? Okay, it's just a leaflet that's inside there. We all know the story, hopefully. A young girl is taken in by a man and a woman who become her sort of adopted mother and father. She begins to steal books, and the story is narrated by Death. But I shall read you the back of the book. It is 1939, Nazi Germany. The country is holding its breath. Death has never been busier, and will become busier still. Liesel Memminger and her younger brother are being taken by their mother to live with a foster family outside Munich. Liesel's father was taken away on the breath of a single unfamiliar word: communist. And Liesel sees the fear of a similar fate in her mother's eyes. On the journey, death visits the young boy and notices Liesel. It will be the first of many near encounters. By her brother's graveside, Liesel's life is changed when she picks up a single object, partially hidden in the snow. It is the gravedigger's handbook, left there by accident, and it is her first act of book thievery. So begins a love affair with books and words as Liesel, with the help of her accordion-playing foster father, learns to read. Soon she is stealing books from Nazi book burnings, the mayor's wife's library, wherever there are books to be found. But these are dangerous times. When Liesel's foster family hides a Jewish fistfighter in their basement, Liesel's world is both opened up and closed down. The Book Thief is a story about the power of words to make worlds. In superbly crafted writing that burns with intensity, award-winning author Markus Zusak has given us one of the most enduring stories of our time. Yes, certainly. When I read this book, I absolutely adored it. And when I saw this edition, I had to have it because it's lovely. So we're getting there. We're getting to the end. Next I have this a crime thriller, and this is What Happened by Mick Herron. I'm not quite sure what attracted me to this, but it sounds quite interesting. 26-year-old Maggie Barnes is someone you would never look at twice. Living alone in a month-to-month sublet in the huge city of London, with no family but an estranged sister, no boyfriend or partner, and not much in the way of friends, Maggie is just the kind of person who could vanish from the face of the earth without anyone taking notice, or just the kind of person MI5 needs to infiltrate the establishment and thwart an international plot that puts all of Britain at risk. Now, one young woman has the chance to be a hero if she can think quickly enough to stay alive. That sounds really quite interesting and intriguing, and I do look forward to getting to this. This was kind of like my dark horse purchase. I just liked how it looked and I thought it sounded quite interesting, but yeah, we shall see. So the next one I'm really excited about. This is such this comes from such an iconic TV series, and when I saw it, I had to have it. It is Father Ted: The Complete Scripts by Graham Linehan and Arthur Mathews. I love this. It looks so much fun. Since they were banished to a remote island off the coast of Ireland because of mysterious clerical misdeeds, Father Ted Crilly, Father Dougal Maguire, Father Jack Hackett, and their housekeeper Mrs. Doyle have been entertaining countless Channel 4 viewers. While Ted dreams of a more high-class parish, Dougal attempts to grasp complex theological issues between games of Cluedo. Jack shouts drink, feck, arse, and girls with little or no provocation, and Mrs. Doyle does her best to give Irish friendliness and hospitality a bad name. Father Ted: The Complete Scripts is uniquely a collection of late but not final drafts. Jokes, characters and scenes that didn't make it into the series are here, along with an introduction to each episode by the authors, which explains how the insane plotlines arose. So whether you're a fan of the show or simply interested in how a comedy programme makes the final leap from page to screen, this book is all you need. And to me, this is the kind of book that you can like dip in and out of if you're ever in need of a bit of light relief and a bit of comedy and a bit of fun. This would be the kind of book that you could get all those things from. and I'm excited to dive in. So the next one I am just so in love with. This is just so much fun. It is Winespeak, and this is Ronald Searle's Wicked World of Wine Tasting. When I say this book is the most gorgeously hilarious thing, it really is. So so the pretentious world of wine tasting speak, with things that are said about wine, things like lots of body but supple. That's the accompanying drawing. So quite literally, people, or the person who has made this book, authored this book, has just taken those words that are said about wine to the extreme and has come up with these glorious illustrations. My favourite one is pleasantly scented, very agreeable, and it looks like that. And it's just all kinds of fabulous, and yeah, I think this would be the kind of book that you could absolutely really quite forward. This would be the kind of book that would go down well at like a wine tasting. I mean, Winespeak, or like a dinner party, or just amongst friends if you're having a few drinks. This would be so entertaining, and I'm so happy to have this in my collection. I love little books like this. So much fun. So the final two, we're there. This is a very long video. The final two are two Little People, Big Dreams, and I got Audrey Hepburn and I got Michelle Obama. I adore these books, and these are written by Maria Isabel Sanchez Vegara, and this one is too. So these are both written by the same person. The Michelle Obama one is illustrated by Saine, and the Audrey Hepburn is illustrated by Amaia Arrazola. And these are just gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I'll talk about the Audrey Hepburn one first. Audrey Hepburn grew up in Arnhem in the Netherlands. After living through the hardships of World War II, she moved to study ballet in London. She went on to star in plays and films, eventually becoming one of the most iconic actresses of all time. The inspiring story of this talented woman features a facts and photos section at the back. And some of the artwork in this is just absolutely stunning. I love these books. They're fun, they're educational, if you're trying to learn about these people from movie history, from political history, music history. These are just perfect, and I love them so much. So then we have the Michelle Obama one. Little Michelle grew up on the south side of Chicago in a loving, connected family. After her father was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, Michelle worked to better the lives of others, and her dad was her greatest inspiration. When Michelle met Barack Obama, she was already a trailblazing lawyer and activist, using her platform to advocate for women, girls, and those less fortunate. Michelle became history's most powerful First Lady. This inspiring story features a facts and photo section at the back. All of these books do. The facts and photo section, they all have that. But this one has the most gorgeous art as well. Let me just find. I mean, it's just gorgeous. So beautifully done. And the end papers, don't even get me started. Oh, but yeah, I look so forward to getting to all of these books, but especially the Little People, Big Dreams. I just love these ones. But yeah, all of these 17 books are gonna be added to my collection, and I couldn't be happier. When we went up to Ballater, we weren't aware that there was going to be a book sale. I was just going to go into the D-side bookshop, which is where I got these two books. But when we were parking up the car, I saw that the church hall was open and there was a sign outside that said book sale, and I almost fell over myself to get into the church hall. And I think all the hardcovers were £2 and the paperbacks were £1, which to me, that's a steal when it comes to books. But yeah, we will probably return to Ballater at some point soon. Probably not with another book sale on, but there are a couple of other shops that do sell books. So yeah, like the D-side books that had these. But yeah, before I digress and go on anymore, I shall say thank you so much for watching. I'm actually getting a sore throat. I've been talking for so long. Thank you so much for watching. Whatever you're doing, I hope you have so much fun doing it. Whatever you're reading, I hope you love it. Stay fabulous, be amazing, be yourself, stay safe, and I'll see you again soon for another video. Bye-bye.